Blake, what's the biggest audience you've ever made a faux pas in front of?
Toby, did you know that Jesus is not always the answer?
Welcome to the Church Gear Podcast, where we pull the tech out of the booth and onto the stage to share the most outlandish stories and hidden wisdom from the tech trenches. And now, here are your hosts.
I'm your host, Blake Hodges, a man who shouted Jesus as the answer in a mega church I grew up in one time, and that wasn't the answer. And I'm here with my co-host who knows Jesus personally, Toby Walters.
I've met him before, and he said he's always the answer. So you must be a unique human being that doesn't apply to you.
Then maybe my pastor growing up is wrong, because he goes, well, thank you for finally the audience participation I was looking for. This is like the one time that's not the answer. And I just sat there, red-faced, but that's normal for me.
Yeah. So I have so many thoughts. Anytime you follow up my opening with what you put in there.
You asked me a question, I answered.
I know. But we don't have like an extra hour just to digest the crazy things that happen in your life. Thankfully, we do that for other people, but not for you. So biggest faux pas. So I went to see...
Toby, you've already committed a faux pas.
What? Which one?
This is a different episode. You didn't bring in our third guest.
We have a third guest?
Or a third person.
A third person.
There's a third body. I don't know if he's a guest or a human, but there's a body in here that's not our bodies. And it's not the bodies we buried.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not our editor producer in the background.
No.
Okay.
So
do you want to
who's the third?
him?
I'll bring in the third body.
Fine.
The third body currently inhabited by the soul of Brian Deshawn, the chief of staff and executive of sales and marketing, but mostly just our funny third man on the pod. Brian Deshawn, welcome to the pod, man.
Thank you. I can't wait to hear about the faux pas after a faux pas.
Yeah.
All right, Toby, faux pas.
Have either of you started watching Pluribus on Apple TV?
I had somebody yesterday
recommending it.
Yeah, just yesterday.
It's really good. Like every human on earth is embodied by just sort of an entity, and every time they say like this individual's body is, and so I'm thinking, you just said this individual's body is Brian Deshawn.
Well, that's pretty biblical because we're either, what spirit are you guided by?
Okay, so let's transition to my little story. I always get a little story because
this is the thing that we give Toby to keep him happy at church here. All of church here would crumble without Toby's little story.
Just so you know, in all of our meetings we have, Toby always gets story time at the beginning.
Yay. Okay, so I went to see Nate Bargatze, and he says Bargatze. I always called it Bargatze.
America's most average comedian.
As people say about you as a podcast?
Dude, I'd love to be average. I'd love for people to even speak about me. That's nice.
So he performed 3 times at Bridgestone Arena, which is 15,000 seats. And so if you can sell out an arena 3 times in a row. Now, Blake, I'm with you. He's a little hit and miss for me. Like sometimes it's really funny and sometimes I'm like, eh.
His third one was incredible. His other 2, eh.
Yeah. So before he came up, like it's a whole thing. It's a concert. Like normally at a concert, you also have an opening act. So he had some opening acts and he had an MC for the night. And so the MC, he comes up first and he starts bantering with the crowd as you want to do. You want to kind of get them riled up. But in a 15,000 seat auditorium, the only crowd you can banter with is the people on the front row. And who's going to be on the front row, Blake?
Toby Walters.
No. I don't have front row money. I have lunch money. We've been over this.
It's expensive. It's expensive to see the average comedian. Okay, who's on the front row? The rich people.
The rich people, yes.
Right.
So he's given a little, heckling to the rich people being up front and saying, you do realize this is a comedy show. We're just standing here talking. But he then sees this kid in the front row. And
kid.
And he had just made a joke about 1776. He's from Philadelphia. And so he says, Philadelphia, the city that's been going downhill ever since 1776. Everybody just kind of chuckled. Then he finds this kid in the front row. And he says, what's your name? And he says, Billy, whatever the kid's name was.
It's every kid's Billy until they're 18. Every single kid.
And he says, how old are you? 11. And he said, did you get the joke about 1776? And little Billy's like, no. And the comedian's like, that's okay. It might have been a little over your head. Says, do you remember what happened in 1776? And the kid's like, I forgot. He's like, that's okay, Billy. No judgment here. And he said, by the way, what school do you go to? And little Billy said, Ensworth. And 15,000 people erupted in laughter. And so the comedian's looking around like, apparently I'm not in on the joke. And so Ensworth, Brian, do you want to explain Ensworth?
Ensworth is a private school here in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's a school where a lot of very affluent families send their children.
for very much money.
For very
They got
much
money. They got
Yes.
money.
It's the most expensive, most
Yes,
prestigious,
yes.
most like snooty.
Yeah, that kind of school. Anyway, I have a really quick story to kind of explain this school. This has been a lot of years ago, several years ago now. And the school, like I said, has a lot of affluent people. Well, there's a unbelievably rich family in the state of Tennessee. I won't say their name because we might get sued or something. I don't know. But probably one of the top 2 richest families in all of Tennessee. Their kids have gone to this high school. And the patriarch of the family, the grandfather of the family, was at a football game and was dissatisfied with the football game because he couldn't watch replays. High school football, mind you, was irritated he couldn't watch replays of plays happening on the field. So he donated like tens of thousands of dollars. So the school put up a video board so he could watch replays at his grandson's high school football game.
I think this is a
That's the high school
brilliant life hack for our audience. Like, get a billionaire's grandson on your production team and then just start like feeding little frustrations to grandpa.
Yes,
and
that's
then
good.
you could just have a brand new LED wall the next week.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So there's lunch money. There's another kind of money I can't say without a bleep. And then there's grandfather money. It's
There's
grandfather
Ensworth
money, Ensworth money.
Yeah. So the MC, he's not in on the joke because he's not from Nashville. If you don't live in Nashville, you don't know what Ensworth was. So, but
Or
he's the
if you're not
MC.
from Nashville or Blake.
or Blake, or
Well-
Blake's from Smyrna. That's
And I'm a lifelong Middle Tennessee native, but people who are from Nashville don't know it either because they're just from California 2 years ago.
That's
true.
And so the next act comes up, and then the MC comes back up in between acts, and he's like, "Okay, so I did a little bit of Googling," and he just the kid's father was sitting next to him in the front row, and so he just ripped on the father. He's like, "All right, so I see tuition is $42,000 a year. Are those both your children?" And he said, "How much for the American history portion if they're going to teach that too? Is that 50,000?" It was so good. And I was just like, we were all making fun of the rich, pretentious people.
As you
And
were
it made us-
sitting
yes, up in the nosebleeds.
in the nosebleeds where the people on stage look like they're about an inch tall.
Well, on the giant LED wall,
Oh, that's
because
true.
thanks to our production friends that then make the experience enjoyable for everybody.
But did they have to get that LED wall paid for by the grandfather as well?
That would be nice.
It's like a buy one, get
Yeah.
one,
I think it would be through the 15,000 tickets sold per show that helps pay for that production equipment.
Well-
who's our church gear grandfather?
Well, there's a couple of people that are what the youths would call the olds.
The olds.
And
right.
I'm not saying their names on this podcast.
Yeah,
so
they are the third body in this room, though.
No. Well, because hang on, there's olds in spirit and there's old in age. And there's some
he
people
is
that are
older than both of us.
That is true.
He's
And
not-
I am technically, even when I don't have a grandchild, I'm old enough to have a grandchild.
So am I. There was a person that was 28 and she had I don't think I knew her personally. I knew a friend that knew her. She was a grandma. So it happens.
I realized the other day that I'm like 3 years younger than my mother-in-law was when my wife and I got married.
That make you feel old? Uh-oh.
I don't know. It just felt weird.
I mean, your son could get married in 3 years.
Well, yes, he could.
Yeah.
Well, he could also just make a grandfather without getting married, and then he'd have to tell you a confessional. He'd have to confess to something. So we are going to move to this.
That's one of your better transitions.
That's good.
I'm proud of you for that one.
Thanks, Toby.
You must be wearing underwear today.
I'm trying to transition into a better podcast host. So this is our yearly award show for the best church tech confessionals submitted throughout the year. It's that little nugget at the very end of the episode, and we're going to say, who was the funniest? What was the most awkward? And if you're listening to this now and you're like, wait,
Well, I'm the funniest and you're the most awkward, but go on.
sure, that was already established.
And I'm the hero of the year.
Exactly. But we're going to hand
That's one
out
of the categories.
We've just handed out the awards to ourselves. Now we're going to hand them out to y'all. If you're like, wait, I didn't even know there was confessionals. Well, tisk, tisk. You haven't listened to the very end of the episode. So you can either look in the show notes and go listen to the confessionals first and then come back for the awards, or you can hear our reactions first and then hear the awards. Either way, it's a choose your own adventure. We're about to jump into the award show. Who wants to start us off on their nomination for, let's see, what's our first award? It is Lemons to Lemonade of the Year, turning a bad situation into a win, which is what I try to do every time I see Toby.
Yep.
I'll nominate someone first.
Okay.
Look, these have already all been aired. Also, this might be, Toby, didn't you say one of our pods got hit with a content warning, like a label?
Yes, it got the little explicit on there, and I was like, how did that happen?
Well, we might get it on this one.
Yeah.
So during a Q&A session, this is a Q&A session that's happening at a church. Someone asked the speaker about, let's just say, toys. All right? That's all I got to say. And
You mean sex toys?
okay,
It's
where
in the confessional.
yeah, but that's at the end of the episode. The end of the episode is like, Church Gear After Dark. It's like right about to crack open. That's the end. Anyways, the person who was running sound was like, I cannot bear to have this be in the recording, which apparently he could bear for it to be on our recording.
Yep.
So he claimed that the console broke and they lost the recording, and his pastor was upset about that. So then he got a new console. He turned someone's awkward toy story into
Sex toys, you mean?
Toy Story into his new audio console. So that's my submission for Lemons to Lemonade of the year.
That's pretty funny.
That was kind of funny, but are either of you are surprised that Blake picked that one?
Well, I picked that one for a different category.
Oh,
but
okay.
no, that he would immediately go to the one about sex toys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I went to the one where the person said, I'm going to get what I want by telling the boss that it'll give them what they want, which is a total Blake thing.
And I will say
Align your interest.
my selection, this might say a lot about me, that I watch a lot of Hallmark movies with my wife. Because my Lemons into Lemonade was the one where the tech volunteer had never done tech before, but thought the tech director was cute. So started volunteering for the tech team and create a relationship with the director, and now they've been married for 6 years and have a child together. And also, if you hear the voice changer, this is a woman. Let's be clear.
Confusing at first.
Maybe
But that's
not.
my like a love story in the tech booth of a church. That's romantic. You could write, that's a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
That literally is a Hallmark movie.
Y'all know that we did this Hallmark movie last year on our Instagram, right?
Yeah, except you were the woman, so woof.
When I had to lean in to pretend to kiss Chris, it's probably the hardest moment I've had filming a video for us.
You do
And-
realize that this year you lean in and pretend to kiss me. So
that
there's
was
a theme here.
That was worse. That was worse.
And I had to say Lemons into Lemonade because this person could have started volunteering, had the relationship crumble, and then she didn't know anything about tech anyway. So now she's a bad volunteer.
Oh,
So what could have been a lemon moment really turned into nice, sweet lemonade. So that's why that's my vote.
I like that. So my person got a console. Brian's person got a husband. What's your person get, Toby?
So I was struggling with the whole lemons to lemonade thing because most of these confessionals are about how things went horribly wrong. So
Went from
I turned it
lemonade to
into,
lemons.
like lemons into an open wound.
Toby's just cutting people open.
Yep.
All right.
So I did have a couple options, but I like the poor guy that sets up the TV and then locks the wheel and then stands back up and knocks himself out and gives himself a concussion on stage in front of 500 people.
Yep.
Holy mackerel. Dude, sorry about that, buddy.
But Toby, wouldn't you love that kind of to happen to you after it's over? Because that story, you could just tell that forever.
See, I'll have these like scenarios in my head and I'll think, I forget what movie it was, but it was like a bank robbery. And I was thinking, man, if I could be in a bank robbery and if I could just get shot, but not dead, but just enough so I have a really good story. So yes.
Toby, I've got good news for you. Sales and marketing decided to boost our numbers in Q4. We're going to go rob a bank after this episode.
Perfect. And shoot me.
Well, I'm not going to shoot you, but someone is.
Now,
All
I
right.
will say that one you picked, while I appreciate that one, I chose not to include that one at all. Because my son has a loft bed, and his desk is underneath the loft bed. And sometimes go in his room, I kind of lean down to get into his desk area. And just like 2 weeks ago, I stood up and cracked the back of my head on the bottom of his bed. So that would create a bad memory for me. So I did not give that one award at all.
Is that why your performance around here is
Yes.
really
I've
been
had
lacking
concussion
last
for a
weeks?
month.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so Brian's person got a husband. Mine got an audio console.
And mine almost died.
Toby's got CTE. Fine. All right, how about this? You can't vote for your own. So I'll vote for Brian's. That person got a husband. That's some lemonade.
I'll vote for Brian's as well. Both of yours I'm using for different awards.
Okay.
So
Ooh, yeah.
I know.
If it gets used, can something win more than one
yes,
award?
Sure. Heck yeah.
Well, shoot. All right.
Yep.
All right.
All right,
So the
so-
Lemons to Lemonade Award of the year
Yeah.
goes to the person that turned volunteering into a husband.
Yep. And the other guy just wins a concussion.
He should win like some money, some HSA money to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is Funniest Moment of the Year Award. This is something that made you laugh the most. So I nominated first last time. One of you guys jump in and say who you would like to nominate.
I'll nominate. I've got to give it to sex toys. So
This is why Toby didn't vote for mine.
Yes.
Now, quick other story. So I met Blake because Blake and his wife joined a young married small group that my wife and I were leading in our church.
How are you going to connect this back to the starter, Toby?
Are you kidding?
I know. I'm certain dramatic effect. I know where you're going.
Oh my
This whole-
gosh. We just said don't mess up on the podcast so we don't have to edit it out.
Toby, this whole podcast is a bit between you and I.
Okay. I didn't realize
Why
that.
am I here?
I thought you were just an idiot. Okay.
No, it's a bit.
Okay. So we're in this young married small group, and one night we're meeting, and there's like 5 couples in the group, and we'll do like a game first, and then we'll usually talk about a Christian book, or we'll do kind of a little Bible study or whatever. And we do prayer requests, and we're about ready to wrap up. And I say, well, unless anybody has anything else, I think we can just call it, and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. And so our good buddy raises his hand, and he says, well, I did have one question. I said, great. What's your question? He says, what do you guys think about sex toys?
In a married relationship.
Mixed, yeah, men and women in this group. I was just like, oh, okay. I think I did answer.
You and Shelley gave a very diplomatic answer.
Yeah.
About communication and trust.
Yeah, and also Song of Solomon has a lot of detail in there that we'll go into. But I did appreciate that, if you're going to do a like marriage seminar or marriage talk, I like that you can just ask anything in those groups. I think it was so funny when the tech was like, that's way too inappropriate. I'm just going to cut that. I'm going to blame it on my mixer and use it to get a new one. I'm like, that is diabolical genius right there.
That's pretty good. I had 2 funny moments. And one I'm just going to give because, well, it's the guy who said he took a 9-volt battery out of his guitar pack and put it in his pocket and then burned a hole like through his pocket onto his leg. That's not really my vote, other than that is something Blake would do.
Uh-huh.
I could see Blake in the podcast, like putting a 9-volt battery in his pocket.
Yeah.
And then at some point, like leaping out of his chair because he burned his leg.
And he also wouldn't have underwear to soften the blow.
Oh, that's true.
But I have enough leg fat that I wouldn't feel it.
Your nerves come out all the way to the end of your leg fat, Blake.
That's true.
You've never seen my leg
So I just share that one because it just reminded me of something Blake would do. Like if Blake had a confessional, I could see it being a confessional. I will say the one that got me giggling probably more than anything was the guy who there was a leak over their soundboard and he got a Mountain Dew can, excuse me, and the Mountain Dew can filled, and when he tried to move it, he spilled the entire Mountain Dew can all over his soundboard. Yep. I was mentally picturing this. Like he thought he had a creative solution. Like, oh, I'm going to prove I know what I'm doing, thinking engineeringly. Like, hey, I'm a tech guy. I know what to do. And then just absentmindedly knocking the can over and spilling it all over his soundboard. Just picturing that guy's face of like, oh, I'm not the genius I thought I was. So that's why I picked that for my funniest moment, because I could just watch it happening and that made me giggle.
What is so great is like tech people are brilliant and ingenuitive. They're just not coordinated.
Yes.
We need to do
Blake, look at Blake's little mind.
I'm contemplating if you're true on that. We need to do the Church Tech Olympics, and then we can test your theory if they are coordinated or not. My submission is going to be the Pong game. That would say game over, and it would freak because a good prank creates fear, but not a problem. That created fear, but not an actual problem. So I admired his tactic there. So, all right, let's all vote. Who is your pick for funniest moment of the year award?
And I can't vote for my own.
You cannot vote for your own.
I'm going to go with the Mountain Dew bottle, mostly just because I'm never going to vote for yours, Blake.
Well, I'm also going for the Mountain Dew bottle because that is pretty funny that it went that way. Although I almost don't want to vote for it for the sympathy of I feel for that person. But yeah.
I'm giving our producer Anna a high five because I'm 2 for 2 on wins for picking winners.
Yeah.
Toby, we might have to band together.
Yeah. Pipe down, concussion boy. Blake, so you loved Game Over because it was a great prank. What's the best prank that's been done on you here at Church Gear?
There's too many to count to submit submissions, but I would say the other day I had my keys laid on the desk, not in my bag. There's nowhere to work in Church Gear office. And Chris stole my keys and moved my car into the other parking lot.
Oh, yeah. Hey, buddy, Chris didn't steal your keys.
That was you?
I stole your keys and gave them to Chris because I knew he would do something special.
The other prank.
Podcast confessionals.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe next year we'll sprinkle in of our own church gear confessionals.
Ooh, let's do that.
Do you
gosh.
confess when you don't think they're wrong, though?
I confess when it's funny. If it's right, if it's wrong,
All right.
if 10 people died, whatever.
Okay.
All right. The next award is the Awkward Moment of the Year award. What made you cringe the hardest? I'll go first. The story where all the lights are coming up in the house during the prayer, like really serious. Oh, no. Sorry. That was an honorable mention. All the lights coming up. My real vote is having to tell your worship leader that their shorts are too short to go on stage and represent the Lord, and then having to drive to his house and get different pants from his wife. Hi, Mrs. So-and-so, I got to get some pants for your husband. What?
And she goes, I thought he looked cute in his shorts.
This must have been why people used to wear robes. It was more definitive.
So our
a good
wonderful social media coordinator for me.
Our social media? That's perfect. Our social media?
I did the exact same thing earlier. I was doing talk to text on my phone and it came out social comedian. And I was like, yeah.
Social media is pretty accurate.
And so she had prepared a video and she said, how about this video? And the whole gag of the video was being non-offensive. But I'm like, maybe you want to cut it from the waist up because I'm totally manspreading the whole time.
Okay.
I'm like, that's the offensive part.
We got to cut this whole episode.
Yes.
I've already been canceled. Now Toby's been canceled. All right. Do you have a submission?
Yes. I mean, the dude barfing all over the bathroom. And then it was actually his girlfriend's. And I love how he said
His girlfriend's friend.
Yes. He said my girlfriend at the time's friend or roommate or whatever had to clean it all up. Now, there was no mention of whether he ever married that woman or... Yeah.
Well, that's just a normal day at church gear. What happens in the bathrooms here, like that didn't affect me at all.
But man, that poor guy just barfing everywhere and then being like, I'm needed back on stage immediately. Gosh, these tech people they go through the ringer.
I will say that was also my vote.
Dang it.
Mostly because just puking is just gross anywhere. And if you've ever had a moment of puking in public, that's horrific. Like just absolutely horrific. And the fact he just left it there, like didn't go tell anybody about it. And then when that's the thing though, like that's sort of like the first half of the story. The second half is when his girlfriend's friend is the one who has to clean it up. And then she complains to his girlfriend. She had to clean up puke. And didn't he say he never told his girlfriend? Like this is the first time he's ever shared that story. Yeah. So yeah, who knows if it's like he's still with this girl? Like it could have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Was this another of Zach Lamb's confessions?
Toby,
but just how awkward
Toby
would that be?
Producer note: Toby doesn't know these confessions. He knows people who submit them. So I really have no idea if it was or not. He did submit one this year.
I could just see Zach Lamb doing this, anyways.
All right, Brian.
So I just remember when I listened to that, just hearing the first half, going, "Oh, that's just kind of gross." And then when it got to the girlfriend's friend, and then the moment his girlfriend's going, "Can you believe somebody puked and just left it there?" And he never admitted it to her.
Yep. I wouldn't either, man.
That's just...
I'll take that to the grave.
That was my question. He didn't clean up his mess. So would you have come clean to the person? Would you have told your girl?
Heck no.
All right. No from Toby.
Nope.
Brian's
I would
struggling
like
right
to
now
believe
because he would never have actually left it. So now he's struggling with a decision he wouldn't make.
I would like to believe that I would have never got to that moment because I might have gone and said, "Hey, I just puked somewhere. I got to go clean it up. Can I have 5 minutes?" I would like to think that's what I did. But if that didn't happen, I don't think I'd admit it either because I'd just be so freaking embarrassed.
It has to come with like a $50 gift card to something better than Chili's, which is probably what landed him there.
$50? No, that's going to be like $1,000.
Well, I think unless both of you vote for mine, it's pretty simple. The winner of this award is
Barf Boy.
Yes, Barf Boy.
Most awkward moment of the year is Barf Boy. Or girl. You don't know. There were some girls this year.
That's true.
And the voice changer made it very difficult.
It sure did.
I don't know that you could really tell.
No.
All right. Which is like, is that more inclusive or less to make it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Number one, or not.
What are you doing? We're not playing Five Truths and a Lie.
My brain is coming back to... All right. So the Hero of the Year award explanation is this is taking a bad situation and actually succeeding in it, you know? Life threw a bunch of pain at you and you just said, I'm going to turn this into something awesome. It's basically like when I met Toby. So what would be your Hero of the Year award nomination for this year's Church Tech Confessionals?
Should I go first this time?
Sure.
So this is, I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at myself now. I'm giving the Hero of the Year award because this is something I would do. Not saying I'm a hero, just this person has to be an Enneagram 8. I'd say it that way.
So a jerk.
Yes. Their church is having an Easter egg hunt. And the story goes, there's typically like thousands of people come to this thing, like it's a big church event. I'm sure it's part of the community, whatever the case is. But this particular year, it was just rainy and cold outside. And so not that many people showed up. But the confessional's like, hey, but the pastor insisted we go through with it, where we were like, hey, we're not sure we should go through with it. So what did this guy do? He killed the power to the generator. So everything shut down, so they had to quit the event. That's just genius. That is just genius. Like I said, this person has to be an Enneagram 8 to make a decision like that. Because they were a 2, they would have figured something else out. Like if they were a 6, they would have figured something else out. But like an 8 would say, nope, this baby's going down. I don't know what happened. The power went out.
Toby, I'm just imagining you and I in this moment in like a sitcom, and you go, we're going to kill the power. And I go, okay. And I just pull out a gun and shoot the generator.
Sounds about right.
And you're like, no, I meant turn the switch off. And I'm like, what switch? You wanted to kill the power.
Sounds about right. I'm going to give it to what I assume is the girl who used the tech ministry to get the husband that she wanted.
That's good.
I am so proud of her. She knew what she wanted. She went after it and just used the tech ministry to get it. I'm like, good for her.
That has some hero qualities in it.
Absolutely.
I could agree with that.
And I'm sure the guy felt very appreciative of the Lord. Maybe the Lord was praying. Maybe he was praying for that, you know?
Heck yeah.
The only way I'm going to talk to a girl is if she joins the tech ministry. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I use small group ministry to get my wife. So
That's true.
Yeah.
And all of your friends and employees. All right. To this day. Hey, it's
pretty good.
It's a good strategy. It's worked so far. This is funny. I have both of y'all's. I had 3. So I also thought those 2 were both worth nominating. I would say the guy that had to the person that had to re-EQ everything right before service, working out, and it like actually worked. Now, Toby, you know tech better than the 2 of us. Not as good as our audience, but better than us. So you can tell us. To me, that was impressive. Is that not as impressive as I think it is, though?
Can you say it again? I wasn't listening to you. That's an honest confession.
All of our meetings, Toby does story time and then he doesn't listen anymore.
Yep.
The person that had to re-queue everything right before service, and then it actually worked out. Like they had to re-queue everything. Something had broke and nothing was noticed during service. That seems crazy to me. They were able to pull that off, but maybe that's not as impressive as I'm thinking.
It's kind of like, if all of our marketing stuff was lost and suddenly we needed a campaign in 10 minutes, you would do something that was, the rest of us would be like, oh, wow, you pulled it off. Because you do it over and over and over. So like a professional audio guy, they'll figure it out pretty fast just because they've done it so many times. So, I mean, it's impressive, but it's also doable.
And you would be stressed about it, but you'd be like, just give me 5 minutes. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I got to go EQ something. Also, my volunteer has to go clean up his throat in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, this is a pretty interesting one then. We've all got 3 good submissions. Who's everybody voting for? Hero of the Year award.
I'm going to vote for Brian's because I never vote for yours.
Okay.
It's just rule of life.
I can't vote for my own, so I'll probably just vote for the girl who got a husband. Like that's perhaps worthy of 2 of our awards.
Mm-hmm.
See, I had all 3 in here. Can't vote for myself. The Rainey thing is tough because I want to vote for them for taking care of their team, but then I feel that's a tough situation. So I'm also going to vote for the person that turned it into a husband. Mm-hmm. So the Hero of the Year award goes to person we think is female. You don't know, with the voice changer who got a husband in tech ministry.
And I think it's a little unfair. Like this totally works for a woman. Like a woman can join a team in order to get that husband. A man can't do that because nobody really wants a man.
What?
Yeah, like a man can't show up at women's ministry and say, I'm trying to find a wife.
Toby, how dare you? We have so many great female production guests on the podcast. That could totally happen for them.
I know, but they don't want a guy to join the team because they want to be their husband.
Have you asked them that?
Well, I'm assuming on their behalf that they're like, ew. Because
this sounds like a pretty good podcast episode to get both a man and a woman who are tech directors and talk about this very thing. You could have like a little matchmaking episode.
Great.
Of can matches be made in a tech booth?
I've said for years we should do an episode on for tech guys on how to find a wife. I think this is valuable life advice.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's good for any demographic.
Toby, I don't think you should be giving advice on this to
been
anybody.
For 20
to anybody. Look what it did to me.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. If Toby did that, it'd be a pretty bad sin. So let's move to our worst sin of the year award. Of all the confessionals, what was the worst mistake? A lot of times in these confessionals, it's people having to react or save the day. And sometimes it's them also causing their own misery. So what would you like to nominate for the worst sin of the year award?
I'm going to nominate the removing the sex toy and then blaming it on the mixer so that you can get a new one. Like, it's diabolical.
It's very Machiavellian.
Yep.
And effective. Brian?
I'll be honest, I don't know that I had a good one.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I like listening to all these. Well, I will say that a couple of them, the voice changer was just so low that was a tech sin. I don't know who to give that to.
Oh, so he's nominating someone on our team for the worst tech sin.
Like, just saying. Anyway, you're like, if you saw my notes here, anyway, that doesn't matter. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to the guy who bumped his head on the corner of the TV. I'm kind of like for Toby, how you shared it, like, you know, you're referencing my story, bumped my head on my son's bed. But I'm like, dude, what you had one job, wheel the TV out there and get off the stage without any interruption. And you perhaps caused the biggest interruption that you could have by conking your head on the TV and then awkwardly walking off, because you know it was awkward because everybody in the room saw him do it. Like I said, you just had one job. Just your job is to get anybody. We all know this at churches. When you put the table out there, the TV out there, you have one job: get on the stage and off the stage without causing any disruption.
And wear all black while doing it.
And we're all black while doing it.
Yep.
One of the Church Tech Olympics could be trying to carry the stage out, but like the floor is waxed or it's barefoot with Legos. Like that could be one of the Church Tech Olympics. All right. The person I'm going to nominate, and look, I've also ruined the company van myself, but ruining the church van, like borrowing it and messing it up. Like
that was funny.
Left the parking brake on and drove on it. And if I'm remembering right, said did lasting damage. That's a literal mess up right there. And look, I backed the church gear van at Toby's house my second week I was here, but I told him, all right. So that's my nomination for worst sin of the year. So we've got destroying the van, we've got knocking yourself out, and then
blaming the mixer for cutting out the sex toy bit.
Okay.
I'm going to vote for Blake just because you used that one twice to try to get 2 awards.
I'm going to vote for Blake too.
I do think ruining a church van is pretty dang funny, and a tech sin.
Which, look, everyone makes mistakes. You just got to own up to them. But hey, I guess you got your tiptoe in by giving it as a confessional. All right. Well, I guess the winner of the worst sin of the year goes to the van person.
It's now time. I have one additional award.
It's Toby's story time. We're back to it. It's like a repeating nightmare, like Groundhog Day.
Thematically correct. I'm going to confess.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to give the Toby Award because there was one confession that literally every detail I did myself. And it wasn't my confession. Somebody confessed to the exact same thing.
What was it?
I, once upon a time, borrowed the church van without telling my pastor. I used it for my own personal use. Coming back from Big Bear Mountain, going down the mountain with a van full of my band, left the parking brake on for an hour.
Oh, no.
I ruined the brakes so that the van shook every time you drove it, and I never fessed up to it.
Until now?
Until now.
Oh, my gosh.
So in January of 2026, we will be donating X amount of dollars to this church.
No. That church doesn't exist anymore.
Because Toby destroyed them.
Oh, so that guy gets the Toby Award for doing the exact same thing as Toby.
This could be, we need to start having an annual thing. Like, submit a confessional you think Toby once did when he was doing church stuff.
That
'Cause I'm
could
sure
be.
Toby did a lot of things.
Yeah.
We just had 4 or 5 awards. Submit something for one of those, and if it ends up lining up with Toby's
Yeah,
story,
that'd be
you
amazing.
might get the Toby Award.
Now, Blake, I don't remember if we've like what we did last year. I barely remember like last week, let alone a year ago in 2024.
Now
right?
that you are currently concussed.
I'm currently concussed.
That's right. Yeah.
If somebody hears this and they realize that's their like confession, if they like email you, do they get anything?
No. What they got was they got played on the podcast. That is a fun thought, though. I didn't think about that. You got my.
You know what? You know what? I'm the chief of staff. I'm throwing it out there. If you're listening to this and you're one of the winners, email Blake at churchgear.com,
No.
and we will figure out something to send to you for winning.
Well, what's funny is they're anonymous with voice changers, so anybody could claim it.
That's true. That is true.
And then next year they confess that I lied. It wasn't me. It'd be brilliant. No Zach Lamb.
The can of worms that just got opened up will end up in my inbox. So you can send, if you want to claim your award, send that. Secondly, if you've got a church tech confessional that you want to give us this year and you see us in person, come
This year,
well,
it's like, are we going anywhere the rest of this year?
next year.
In
Okay.
2026.
Yes. So if you see us in 2026, if you see us at an event, come up, let us know you want to give a church tech confessional, give us your 30-second to 2-minute story, and it just might end up on the podcast.
And if you are what we assume is a woman who got a husband, we'd love to hear that story so that then we can help others learn how you did that.
Are you formally inviting them on the podcast as a guest?
Or at least as a little segment. I think that'd be a fun
That
and
would
engaging
be-
story. We could do it around Valentine's Day.
Yes, you're
All right.
right. That'd be
Yeah.
fun. Just hear more details because, again, Blake has parameters, 30 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yep.
Just so you know, if you're at 28 seconds or 2:02, you won't get a confessional.
You're out.
Just so you know. But yes, that would be a fun story to tell.
Yeah.
Because I bet she's not the only one who has that kind of story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got a lot of call outs. Anything else we're looking for? We're searching for?
No, I do have a tech takeaway. Were you going to tee that up at some point?
That's where we were going.
Okay. You want that now?
Yep.
Okay, so because we've heard this multiple times, my tech takeaway is put something above the soundboard that will deflect water. Because
That's good.
It seems like roofs leak right above soundboards. And so if you've got clouds in the ceiling, you've got something, you just need plastic up there that will reroute the water so it just falls somewhere else, not over front of house.
What if we as Church Gear design a console gutter system?
With a Mountain Dew bottle?
I don't know. I don't know with what, but just a gutter system we can sell to churches.
Yeah.
That's a gutter system. So no matter where water comes from, it just always diverts it away from your soundboard.
Yeah.
You've
That would
heard
be
of
genius.
You've heard of the dust cover for your console. Now comes the duck console, where we literally divert all of it away from the water hitting your console. Sold at churchgear.com. My tech takeaway is twofold. Toby, I thought you were about to say this one. We keep hearing about people hitting their heads. If you're in your tech, anywhere in your tech space, if you think someone's going to hit their head there, get a black pillow or spray paint something black and adhere it to that thing so they don't knock themselves out. It will be funny. You can smack it for good luck and you won't knock yourself out. And my second tech takeaway is I want to go back to the intro story y'all said, like, it doesn't hurt if you got a rich person on your volunteer team to end up with a new solution.
Yep.
Brian, do you have a tech takeaway?
No.
No pressure to.
I have no tech takeaway other than if you're going to do voice changing, there should be a way to designate who are men and who are women.
Yes.
Because when you pitch everybody's voices down, just everyone sounds like a man.
I think that makes it funnier, though. I mean, if y'all want to do that, we can. I thought it was funnier that you don't know.
Maybe we can just randomly pitch voices up or down. So sometimes it's like, the guy sounds like
there
a
you
woman.
go.
Yeah.
There we
Just
go.
just like you, Blake. I don't know how you naturally pitch your voice up to sound like a woman, but you pull it off.
That would be great, Toby. I would love to do that.
Yep.
I used to have a voice for story time when I taught preschool.
Wow.
This episode has gone off the
If
rails.
that's your story time voice, I'm not going to that preschool.
You had to do Cinderella's voice. All right. Well,
Hey, children.
Oh, gosh.
Come listen
Okay.
to me
No.
tell a story.
okay. I confess that this is the last podcast we'll ever record. Share this with a friend, and we'll see you next year.
And don't sue us. Oh, are we doing an intro or outro? Which end of the podcast are we on?
Toby, no one knows what end of Church Gear they're ever
I know.
approaching.
Woo, that's a real thing. I mean, I've had a colonoscopy and, endings are they can get messy. So what do you want people to do at this end of the podcast, Blake?
I think we have to cut that. We made it through the whole episode without a cut.
It's a medical procedure, Blake. Grow up.
And
share this episode with a friend. And if you're not grown up, grow up by sharing this. And Blake,
and text us that friend, and you'll also do another medical procedure after, which is a lobotomy.
It was Christmas, running Joy to the World. We had the opener for 3 weeks. We run automated lyrics, or it was automated with MIDI, and we had a problem with it wanting to crash both presenter and killing lyrics and stage display. Unfortunately, we had a first-time worship leader on our stage who was new. We were joining the team. It happened. Pro presenter crashed, and he was so nervous, and like the lyrics just evaded him, and so we were stuck in the same first one over and over, and just the panic in his eyes while I'm just sitting there and had to close out Pro Presenter and waiting for it to boot up forever like it does, and I'm just like, please come back, please come back. I was running proper, and I zoned off whenever our next steps announcer came up, and I did not click her slides at all until later on, until I realized that she was saying the wrong word, and then I realized I was zoned out. And so that kind of hosed her, and she did not know the words that she was trying to say. On our soundboard, we have a lighting panel that sits on the wall directly next to the soundboard. As I was running sound, controls the lighting in the entire auditorium. As I was running sound, I put my headset on the wall and my hand bumped the lighting switch, so we were in a very spiritual and solemn point in our song. I bumped the lighting panel and all the lights come up all at once. Tough to take, tough to receive, but we made it through it. So we opened a brand new building. We gutted the old building, so it was an older building, but a month into the opening for real, with the soundboard installed, the biggest leak in the whole building was straight over the soundboard, the brand new soundboard that we spent the most amount of money on, the most expensive piece of equipment in the whole building. So we found a Mountain Dew bottle and a clamp, and we clamped it up there. But one day it got really full and I had to empty it, and I lost control of the Mountain Dew bottle and I spilt it on the console. To this day, I don't think I've told anyone on the team, but if it stops working someday, it wasn't my fault, and I'll never admit it. But the Mountain Dew bottle and the clamp are still up there, and they're great if you need to plug a leak. One Sunday, I was getting ready for church, and my boss comes in, who was the worship leader, and he had very short shorts on, and I'm not kind of short, but like super, super short. And it was me and someone else who saw him, and we told him something about it, that like, hey, you have really short shorts on. So we had to hide him in one of the green rooms, lock the door, and I actually had to drive to his house, meet his wife, and get real pants for him. One year, I was working a marriage conference that took place on a Friday and a Saturday. During the Saturday session, they had breakouts for men and women. I was running audio in the men's breakout, and my senior pastor asked me to record it. And so I recorded it, and there was a Q&A session where anyone could literally ask anything. Unfortunately, some people started asking questions about sex toys, and it just wasn't one question. It turned into 15 minutes. At that point, I knew what was being recorded was, well, quite embarrassing. So I ended up stopping the recording. I deleted it. My senior pastor asked me for the recording, and I just said, the board messed it up. That's it. And I use that as defense to get rid of that X32 in that room. So we were having a very somber moment, and a communion moment actually, and our lead pastor just walked off the stage and forgot to turn his mic off. The volunteer forgot to hit mute on the console, and our lead pastor went to the restroom. Let's just say there was a new meeting to stream in the PA. I actually didn't know anything about production when I started serving. I just thought the tech director was so cute and I just had to get to know him more. So I signed up for the production team, was like, I'll just figure this out as I go. And oh no, he needs to teach me everything. Oh no, we have to spend even more time together. And lo and behold, 7 years later, we fell in love, we got married, and now we have our very own little techie baby to introduce into the great wide world of church production. So yeah. We love falling in love in church ministry. I had my wisdom teeth taken out on a Friday, and I had to run from the house on a Sunday. I was in a lot of pain, and I was on a lot of prescription pain medicine, and I really wasn't thinking like myself. Still had to run from the house. I may or may not have had the wrong vocalist leading worship for the first 2 songs. And when someone asked why it was like that, I just blamed it on bad wireless. So I am primarily a lighting guy. Learned audio over the course of being in the role of TD, as one does. But there's a Sunday where all of my lighting and all of my audio folks were blacked out. My worst nightmare. I ended up being able to just time code lighting, throw a new volunteer on and being like, hey, you just control message. I can work my way around audio. Well, we get going, worship goes great. We come out of our bumper into do our scripture reading. Pastor comes out on stage, says his opening line, and nothing. And I was like, okay, let me make sure I unmuted. I'm like, okay, yes, I unmuted his mic. I did the right thing. Still nothing. He ends up, I motion him like, you turn your pack on, opens up the battery compartment to the congregation, shows that it is empty, and I'm like, whew, not my problem. He goes, puts batteries in, comes back out, still nothing. And I'm like, okay, what is going on at this point? I go ahead and I'm like, kind of trying to get him to be like, hey, let's just grab handheld. Our announcement person comes out with his mic. I see it. I'm like, excellent. I know he would have grabbed the mic he just used, unmutes that, no audio out of that mic. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, oh no, what is happening? There's like a little bit, he like hits on the table. I think I hear something. I'm like, okay, maybe it worked, whatever. Didn't have anything. And one of the vocalists comes out with her mic, gets it. And at that same time, too, the mic starts working. I'm like, whew. I worry about it. I'm like, okay, good. Afterwards, kind of figure out what went wrong. Turns out at some point, and it's the case of like, no idea how it happened, but the backup body pack we have for the mic was grabbed instead of his actual one, which explained why it had worked in rehearsal and didn't for our service. Also explains why there's no batteries in the pack, because that was also very confusing. One of the craziest things that happened in my church was our worship director, middle of service, takes his 9-volt battery out of his guitar, throws it in his pocket, and then halfway through the service, he starts dancing on stage for some reason, runs back all the way to the sound booth by me and goes, I think I burned a hole in my leg. I'm like, how? He goes, I put this battery in there and I had change. And then he shows me later, I go, yeah, you got a big burn on your leg. It's the shape of a 9-volt battery. So that's the craziest thing that's happened in my church right now. time I borrowed the church van for my own personal use without asking the pastor. When I was on my way back, I forgot to undo the emergency brake, so drove for an hour and a half with the emergency brake engaged and wondering why the brake smelled terrible. I never confessed to it before, and the church van rattled the entire rest of its life. Whoops. One year, my church was doing a large Easter egg hunt, and typically this got thousands of people, but this particular year, it was really cold and rainy in Ohio, and not very many people showed up. My senior pastor was insistent that we keep going. Well, we had 2 hours left, and no one really wanted to be there, so I may or may not have killed the generator to end the Easter egg hunt early. And we all went inside and got ready for Saturday service. We got an LS9 years ago, and it was kind of novel because you could control it with an iPad too. So when I would have my volunteers come and do sound for different things, I'd sit in the audience with my iPad and start moving faders on them and just watch them as they try to freak out because something's going on. And I never told them, so it was good. Camera one that we have is stationary, so it's just like keep an eye on the main lead and the pastor. But the nozzle to go left and right can sometimes get stuck. Like you can see where someone shifts and it just like scratches. So I once unscrewed it almost all the way. It didn't fall off, but it did make it so that even though it was stationary, it would slowly lean to the left the entire service. So I just could keep holding on to it because I couldn't just re-screw it while I was live. It just kept shifting to the left, and I'm like, oh no. So I was doing mixing audio for a service this last weekend and tried to update my show file 30 minutes before practice started, and I accidentally blitzed the whole show file and lost everything on the console. The band was showing up, and I had to repatch everyone's in-ears, repatch every input, label everything. I lost everything. And it ended up having to re-EQ and everything all the way from nothing, and we made it through. So one Sunday I was running front of house at my church, and we were singing Graves in the Gardens, and right before we got to the major bridge where it goes, you turn more into dancing, I decided to change the tempo for some odd reason, and I hit the mute button 4 times during the high part of the song. It turns out that every person in the entire audience decided to turn around and look at me. So I used to have a bunch of D&B Audio Technique D12 amplifiers, which you could play the game Pong on, which is a very fun game if you haven't played it. But I would walk up to all the amps and I would open Pong, lose the game, so the amps would say game over. And then I told the worship leader that if he ever saw the amps say game over, to let me know. So then he would see them all say game over in a panic and run to the booth, and I would try to act like something was wrong. I was doing stagehand for my production team, and our pastor uses a stage TV. And so during the bumper video, I brought out the stage TV, and we always lock the wheels so that way when he touches the TV, it doesn't roll away, right? So I bent down to lock the wheels, and when I stood up, I banged my head on the corner of the TV, and I gave myself a concussion in front of 500 people, and I almost passed out on stage. Somehow I was able to stumble off, but it was still the most embarrassing time that I've had on production. So one time I was working at a camp part-time in addition to working at the church I was at. And this camp was notorious for having lots of bouts of food poisoning due to bad cooks. So I had lunch, and then I was going back to my church, getting ready for stage turn. In the middle of stage turn, I had a bout of what didn't feel good in my stomach. So I couldn't make it to the regular bathroom, ended up in the family bathroom, threw up absolutely everywhere, including like the trash can for the paper towels, the toilet, the walls, literally everything. My boss comes back and said, I don't care how bad it is, we need you on stage right now for rehearsal. And so I did. Well, it gets worse. So my girlfriend at the time was roommates with one of the maintenance staff. And, person on maintenance staff came home that night and was telling my girlfriend about how she had to clean up vomit everywhere in the bathroom. And it was the most disgusting thing she's ever seen. To this day, she still doesn't know that was me. So if you're listening, and I doubt you are, I'm sorry.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope to see you back next week for more absurd stories, tech takeaways, and overall buffoonery here at the Church Gear Studios.